Okay, so again, you should follow the sketch. It shows that slab cellar, slab mechanical, and top of grade beam. Now that I noticed that actually the name of this one should be top of grade beam, no? Say yes, so it's named properly. So here's how footings work. If you go under structure, you have wall footings. You can just click that, and you will have different types if you have them, and you can just click the ones you want and click on a wall. The second you click on a wall, if I look from the bottom, this is what I just created. You can select it, and again you see the properties of it. But we realize that it's not the dimension we want. We want to have, as I said before, 2 and 6 inches depth. So let's actually go and edit type. First of all, duplicate, and let's rename it properly. Okay. So it's actually 30 inches high, and I think it's 24, 26. Okay. Say okay, so you rename it. That means that you create your own type, and now you can just make sure that the width and the thickness are the same. So I think width, again, as I said, it was 26, and the thickness, it's gonna be 30. And again, not feet. If you place, this is gonna be interesting. If you forget to put the inches, you say okay. It's a little bit big, no? You guys think? No? It's huge, no? So make sure you place the inch. Okay, so that's it. If we go to the section, we will see that it's actually aligned center to the wall. Now we also say that it should be aligned to its side, no? So let's see how we can do that. Let's go to the 3D, select, So let me test the align. If we say AL and we say align to this face, this other face, you cannot make it. You can actually not move it, but it has this little link here. Huh. So I'm going to study that in a second once we finish this. In general, what we want is actually for every grid, go and check the sketch again and see that we have like a foundation wall between the slab mechanic and the top of grade. And to do that, we can go to slab mechanic, say again wall, structural, foundation, and say height to slab mechanic. If you see again the section, it should be much more straightforward. Again, I mean slab mechanic, so it's depth actually, and we're going down to top of grade beam. Okay, and what we're doing is center. It doesn't matter if it's wall or core because it's only one layer, and we don't want offset, and we just click on the grids. Okay, we don't see it. That makes sense. Again, disregard. Just make sure everything's there. Disregard. Disregard. Okay, if we go to top of the grade or to the 3D, even better, we have this kind of a, these are walls, and they're foundation walls that they will go from the foundation slab, and they will go down to the wall footing, no, that's going to be underneath. Okay, so now we can place the wall footings that we place here as well. Remember that there's one option there where you can select one element, just say create similar, no? And you can click down there, down here, down here, and down here. Okay. Again, I'm going to click this one too. Create similar, down there, and down here. If I go to the section, this detail is pretty much the one you can see in the sketch that I have given you. Probably the thing that we're missing is the slab itself, no? So the slab should go underneath the slab cellar at 23 feet 5 inches, okay? To do that, we go to the slab, we can double click here. We want the floor, structural, or actually you have the foundation slab here, which is the one that you should use. And we're using actually a 12-inch slab, so we can check if we have one. Again, I'm not having a good day, so I only have this like default settings. So I'm going to edit type. First of all, always duplicate and call it a 12-inch foundation slab. Say OK. Press edit and just change the thickness to 12. Okay. Say OK, and we place the 12 towards the inside of the wall, no? Say OK. It's going to ask you, do you want the walls? No span direction symbol is loaded, so it just say, would you like to load? This is the symbology. I guess for some reason I brought this file from an older version. I'm just going to say no. You should have actually a symbology associated to it, so it's no problem. Let's go to also the section and see if this is looking good. Yeah. If we go to the edit type, we see this concrete cast. So when we cut it, we should be able to see it also with all the pattern. Now, sometimes the concrete, if it's not under fine view, if it's under coarse, you won't see that kind of a pattern. So you probably want to take it to fine view to see that pattern properly. One thing I noticed is that the terrain is down here. Sometimes it might be actually down here, or it might be a little bit higher. And to change that, you just need to change that slab, the pad that we created. And you can just change the height, and it will change also the terrain relationship, okay? So that's, normally there is a distance secure, like some air space between the foundation slab and the terrain. And you will always have some other layers, such as like for the terrain, kind of the roots do not grow, and certain other layers that will be needed in relationship. Okay. So in that sense, we're pretty much ready. Again, you might have needs for columns. Let's imagine that I'm in the top floor, level 1, and there's actually a column from here, or from the slab cellar, sorry, to the level 1. And we're going to see next class how do we create our own columns. I'm going to say load a column here, just because it doesn't have any default. You should have default columns. For some reason, I'm not having mine. You go to, there's a columns here, but I actually like to use the structural columns. And concrete, I'm just going to use the rectangular one, or the square column. And we just need to make sure that it goes from slab cellar height to level 1, which is what we want. And you can say at grids and select these 4 grids. Okay. If I go to the 3D, it's 4 columns. Obviously these are quite thin, and we will see again next class what columns are necessary, but you can very easily change them to thicker columns. Okay. Now Now those columns are, I'm going to hide for a second the slab, HH. They're exactly aligned to the grid, obviously, because we said aligned to the grid, no? So they're perfectly set properly. But let's imagine we have a column actually somewhere in the middle because of the case of our stair. And again, you might not do it now and you might do it later on, but it's good to start knowing about it. So if we're in the slab cellar and I place another column, and let's say a thinner one, let's say 1818. So imagine I just need a column here for whatever reason, height to level 1. That column should go actually in this case to top of green bay, and we should just place a structural isolated foundation footing, no? So we say yes. Again, I don't have anything. You guys should have all of this properly set. So I'm going to just go to foundations and I'm going to press control and scroll in, and you have footings here, rectangular. You have rectangular, these are pile caps, and as you can see you also have the piles. Some of you might consider having piles. This is pretty much the same as a footing plus a number of piles going underneath to allow for stability within the foundation. Say footing rectangular. You have several options. You can also edit the type and duplicate and change configuration of the main dimensions, and you just have to actually say here at columns, click, and it comes down there. Well, if it doesn't come, by the way, it's because I'm not setting the proper levels. So probably if you go to top of grade and you go to isolated footing, you set column, say finish, we don't see it, 3D, and there it is underneath, no? So basically it's the difference that we're searching in this project is that you might have isolated columns emerging outside of the grid, and we will probably see those as we go. If you do your sketch properly from the grids that you have now, you might already have the answer that you need some columns away from the grid. So that would be the solution for those scenarios. And this is the scenario where we have like wall footings exactly associated to the grids. This is slightly different from last semesters where we were only using isolated footings, okay? Another thing in terms of isolated footings, if I go back and turn on my foundation slab, is that we should cut away from the columns. And actually these columns should go probably down. Let me hide this. They should go down to the foundation wall here. So we can select all of them by pressing Control and taking down to mechanical slab. So they touch exactly there, no? So again, if I turn on again the slab, we will see that the column is just going through the slab, almost like ignoring it. So this is the moment where you have to edit the sketch and draw around it. Probably the best place to do that is, let's say, top of beam, and start, for example, selecting, picking up these lines. Oops. It always has to be a close. You can also cancel, select these ones and copy them, multiple. You can do that and select these two and copy them. And say OK. If we go to the 3D now and I select the slab, you see how perfectly it's like respecting the column? So that's pretty much the resolution that we're searching for. Now again, this is an example. You have your own grids. What I'm asking from all of you is that you resolved the grid foundation with wall footings more than with isolated footings, okay? only exceptionally, if we have an isolated column, given the necessity to construct a stair opening or any other issue, you might want to consider the isolated footing for those cases, okay? Good. If we go to the section, we'll see how things are starting to be built up properly, no? Now again, we have to solve this connection, which is not exactly as the one I promised, so we're going to actually solve it in the next video, okay? I'm going to close that.